Guys, I'm back, and as promised, I would like to begin the Mother Archetype series I promised you from the previous video. And I'm doing it now in May, even if, right now you are watching this and it's 2029, sometime in January. I am recording this in 2026, May, because May is sort of considered Mother's Month. So someone was asking me that, Khanti, when exactly does Mother's Day fall? It will always fall on the second Sunday or second week of May. So second Sunday of May, you will find that, we have Mother's Day. But I love May as Mother's Month, and it's always been, back in the days, a month that I would be doing an event around mothers and mothering, and I would focus mainly on the mother wound ever since I discovered, or ever since I started learning about the mother wound sometime in 2021, 2020, 2021, around there. So I really love this month for that reason. It might not be necessarily officially known as Mother's Month, like August known as Women's Month, but I think it is, So I'm doing a series on the types of mothers, and I want to focus on something deeper than just your mother or how your mother raised you. I want to broaden it up for you to look at it from an archetypal point of view, mythological point of view, so that you understand that mothering is an archetype. It is not just mewahau. It is an archetypal role, and I don't have time to get into what really are archetypes. We'll get into that as we continue with these teachings. But if you are interested, really, really interested in archetypes, you can join my Patreon vault. There is a whole library of teachings where I go into details as to what archetypes are. But for the sake of the YouTube video, just go with it, or go on AI or Google and Google what an archetype is if you don't know. But a mother is one of the archetypes, one of the biggest archetypes, if you ask me, on this planet. I mean, the planet itself, Mother Earth. The earth itself is known as the mother. So it's a very powerful archetype that I think the sooner we understand it, the sooner we put its role in the rightful place, the more we will appreciate our own mothers, ourselves as mothers, and our daughters when they become mothers themselves. I have a daughter who's now a mother. So I'm in a very different space right now because I'm now going to be watching her become a mother and embody this mother archetype. So for today, I want to talk about the two types of archetypes, the nurturing mother and the protective mother. I want to do both of them at the same time because, like I say, these are very, very long teachings. And if you're interested in the teachings themselves, you will have to follow my work even deeper than just here on YouTube. Momo YouTube is just basic teachings, a little bit of depth, but the real growth, the real depth, the real understanding, you would have to come for coaching, or you'd have to join some of my teaching platforms, and then you'll get the real juice. So today I want to touch on the nurturing mother and the protective mother, what they are, what their shadow side is, how do you know you've been nurtured by your mother, the signs and the scarring of a nurturing mother living in the shadow side of that nature. Okay, let's begin. I'm going to wear my glasses because I'm going to be looking at my notes. All right, Aratome. So different mothers embody different archetypes. We have all sorts of mothers in the world, but they embody very different archetypes. And when you look deeply into them, you find that it's not really many archetypes that they embody. So let's start with the most obvious ones, the most natural ones, which is the nurturing mother and the protective mother. A lot of us know of this mother. It is always purported in social pop culture, in advertising, in mainstream media. You find the mother being the nurturer. You look at it in advertising, or the mother being the protective one. Those are the most standard, the most general, the most well-known. In fact, a lot of people, when you speak of being a mother, they put you in that category. And if you are outside that category, cracks start to open up. And that's why I'm doing this series. So what does a nurturing mother look like? How do you know that your mother nurtured you? How do you come out as a person who was nurtured by who was loved through nurturing? Because all of it is love. Remember, last week I said all of it is love. How do you come across as an adult as someone who was nurtured, who was loved through nurturing, and who was loved through protection? So I shared my story that I come from a household where we had the most nurturing mother. And then I want to also talk about the shadow side of the nurturer when it becomes a bit weird, when the nurturing takes a dark side, when it takes sort of a shadow side and how that impacts you. So the nurturing mother, just like the word says, is that mother who feeds you, both physically, emotionally, spiritually, even. I mean, I'm thinking of my own mom. My mom made sure that we are fed, such that I grew up not thinking that I was poor. I mean, the poverty that I know is the poverty that all Black people know of, from oppression and not having land and not having the means to run the economy and not having generational wealth. But in my household, we were fed, we were warm, we were clothed. So my mom made sure that we are fed, we are comfortable, we are safe, because she's the one who went ahead and bought the house. Go East Bank, taking us out of Alexandra, go 9, Alex. And then we ended up living in the nicer side of Alex, which is East Bank. And we had a good home. We had a stocked fridge. We had all the clothes we need. In winter, we were warm. We had school uniform. She made sure that we are taken care of. The mother who soothed us. My mother would soothe us, would comfort us. I never remember, I don't even remember once. I don't have a memory of my mom beating up any of us. I mean, there would be a spank here and there, and she would shout a little bit if she's irritated or angry. But I don't know a mother who beats us up. She was just never that type. She never embodied that. She also sort of protected us from our own father. My mom would rather be the one taking the beating. I mean, if you've been following the channel for a while, when I was still reading my memoir, I do mention the kind of father I had. But she was very, very nurturing, very, very loving, very mother henny. And that's how we grew up. We grew up understanding that that's what a mother does. And, in mythology, and if we think of Greek mythology, the nurturing mother was Demeter, Persephone's mother, who was a nurturer of note, who nurtured her child, protected her child, and so much so that she also just fertilized the earth so that there's bounty, there's plenty, there's nurturing, there's no hunger, there's no lack. That is the embodiment of Demeter. So I can say my mom embodied a Demeter archetype from a nurturing point of view. However, the nurturing mother also has a shadow side, the side that when it's not done well, it can actually damage and it can create what we always refer to as the wound, the mother wound itself. But before we get to the shadow side, a well-nurtured child, a child who grew up with a mother that absolutely loved and nurtured, or rather showed love through nurturing, understands that they don't live life through too much survival. A well-nurtured child, a child who was loved through nurturing, does not struggle too much with self-worth. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen along the way, but because he was so fed and so taken care of by the original life giver, self-worth comes naturally to you. Once you don't also struggle with lack mentality, you know that you are always taken care of. I'll give you an example. Even in my hardest times, even when I was going through bankruptcy and I was going through a really, really rough period in my life, particularly the 30s, because the 30s was when I was clawing my way back. I never ever once felt like my sense of self-worth is diminished. Yes, I had moments of low self-esteem, moments of fear, because bankruptcy does scar you deeply, but it wasn't at a deep fundamental level. I never ever thought I would not have a roof on my head or not eat or that type of thing. I never had those types of fears in my life, and it's because of the foundation of having a home that was nurtured. And also what that develops in a well-nurtured child is a deep sense of generosity, because it's almost like the mother instills a sense that there's always enough, there's always more. Just allow and receive. And I see it in me, especially as I'm getting older. I get it and I understand the value of being loved through being nurtured, being fed, being comforted, being seen, being sort of protected. But there's the negative side when nature becomes smother, when the mother is now smothering you, is overgiving, is rescuing you, is not allowing you to be independent. And the impact of that smother, that's overgiving, that fear of you growing up is that you end up unable to find your own compass of self-trust. It's almost like you cannot cut the umbilical cord. You are perpetually being comforted and nurtured by a mother. So sometimes, especially people who grew up in a place where they did not have a nurturing mother, they tend to not know how to nurture because they did not experience it. So they overdo things, they overgive, they rescue the child, they really overdo things and they smother and they give and give and give. And a child never develops a sense of independence, never develops a sense of trusting themselves. They tend to constantly seek reassurance from others. They constantly just want validation, 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 because the mother was a bit too much. So that's the shadow side of the nurturing mom. I don't think we had that. I think my mom could balance the nurturing well. It's just that that's almost the only love language she understood. She did not have any other form of loving, such as protecting us. So she was not the protective mother, which is the next video that I'm going to do next. Right now, just go to the next video.